I want you to have some understanding. This is a huge topic. We're not going to be able to go into it super deep, but I want you to have some basic understanding of being able to distinguish between trauma and big feelings. Because in coaching, we absolutely work with big feelings. And if trauma comes up, all we ever do is just bring them back to the present moment however we can. But distinguishing these two things can be hard. So one of the ways, a term that I used earlier that I'd like to define is big T trauma versus little t trauma. So big T trauma is going to be, again, situations of abuse, extreme loss, murder, all of these things that put people really outside their window of tolerance, which we'll get to in a minute. And actually, let's get to it right now. So here's a window of tolerance, right? So below here, this is where people are like collapsed and shut down. They are not breathing. They can't do anything. Here is they're keyed up, they're overwhelmed, they're triggered, and they can't regulate their own system. And so the window of tolerance is the place where actual transformation can happen. So we're actually tracking that we want our clients to be in a state of regulation. So with little t trauma, we might come out like this, right? We might go out of our window of tolerance, oh, it's a lot. But we're able to kind of ride that line. So these are the big shocks in life that give us intensive feelings that kind of ride our edge of overwhelm, but we can still kind of come back in. Versus these big dips out of this center zone, those are the kinds of things that we don't work with. We bring people back to center, to present moment, which will bring people back into window of tolerance, and we send them out for therapy. So let me tell you a story. I was out on vacation with a friend in Costa Rica, and she had a terrible breakup. It was super intense, super big for her. And so she was in big feelings. So I'm holding her and she's crying and she's big, deep breaths moving through her body, tears rolling down her face, big feelings. It was moving. The energy was moving. Trauma is when the energy is stuck. It's getting stuck. So as I'm holding her, she's crying, and then I can feel it the moment it happens. She falls off the trauma ledge. And so breath, again, notice how I'm breathing. Breath is a huge factor in tracking where people are in their window of traumas. Are they in trauma or are they in big feelings? In big feelings, breath moves. In trauma, it doesn't move. It sounds unhealthy. So she suddenly switches over and she goes, right? Her breathing isn't working anymore. It sounds off, right? And so I just put my hand on her back and I'm like, and stay with me. Slow down your breathing. And her breathing slowed down. I had to remind her a few times, but she came back into her window of tolerance and she moved through. And when I checked in with her later, she said she felt herself falling off that cliff and it was like I caught her right in that moment and just brought her back to the moment. So we want to keep people if people are having feelings, we're working with feelings, we keep people in feelings that are moving, that are present, that aren't overwhelming the system. So one more thing I'm going to give you. So breath is the biggest one. Most coaching happens on the phone, and you can track the breath, and you can invite people to slow down their breathing, just slow down, take a look around. So the other one is the eyes. If you happen to be on Zoom or in person, and people are going into a trauma state, you're going to see this, like, their eyes are moving, but they're not landing anywhere. And occasionally you'll get the 1,000-year stare, much less common. And so again, like, their eyes will be all over the place, and you just invite them to find something to look at that feels safe to look at. It could be you, could be an object, and you slow them down. You bring them back to the present moment. If someone's in a big feeling, you do not have to bring them back to the present moment or slow them down. Slowing down can be great, but in coaching, we let people have their big feelings, right? It's okay. If you have a negative relationship with a certain big feeling, then you might have, and this is something to track in yourself, like, in this moment, take a look at, like, what feelings am I not able to be within myself? You can even pause, write that down. What feelings can I not be within myself? And then what feelings can I not be within others? And that could include, like, tone of voice. Right? So that might be something to work on, to get coached around. Because if you can't be with it, then you're likely to be like, oh, it's trauma, or oh, it's not okay. And then take clients out of their feelings while they're integrating and resolving and moving a big feeling that needs to move so that they can get to a new place. And big feelings can come out big. I had a client who was so nice, and he was just the nicest person. He never got angry. And his mother was very abusive. And he, through our work and through some things in his life, he came in contact with his anger at her. And it was a big feeling, and it was moving, but it moved for 6 weeks. We would get on the call, and he would be angry, and he would be in it every week for 6 weeks. It really stretched me. And I was holding the context, like, this is something you've never had access to, and if we shut it down now, you're going to lose so much access to your vitality. So I was like, great, be with it, bring it, move it, let it be here, right? Giving space for big feelings is huge. Again, if people are outside their window of tolerance, we just bring them back to the present moment. But it's important for you to do your work so that you can be with, make space for, and not like strategically or energetically shut people down and shut people out of their big feelings. Because wherever people shut out their big feelings is the places where they're getting blocked in moving forward. And that's where they're going to engage in those numbing behaviors, those aversion behaviors, and the things that are going to take them away from full choice and full action in the direction that they choose.